And he got all of his workers, or most of them, to meditate too.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly he was, from the story I've heard, he was this incredibly positive influence on the country. And, in terms of the spiritual development, getting his workers to meditate and eliminating corruption, but, just in terms of the stuff getting done. And so, he was involved with these high-level government meetings, and stuff would get heated. This is a country that recently had been independent. He had a lot to do. And so in some of these heated meetings, he would stand and he'd go look at the Irrawaddy River. And people thought he was just sort of mulling over what was happening, but he wrote in his memoirs, or he told his students, or it came out later. What he was doing is he was scanning through his body, which was the practice of his lineage. So he was taking a second there. He would take like 60 seconds. He would notice where in his body he was getting reactive, he was getting angry. He would intentionally feel that, and he would open to the experience. He would wait till he felt clear, he felt like his energy was moving, he was in the moment, he wasn't hooked. Sometimes I think in terms of meditation, it takes all these tangles of strings, and it loosens them, it untangles them, it unhooks them. So he waited till he was unhooked, he was opened, and then he went back to the meeting, and then he was able to be constructive. He was able to come from his highest, deepest self, rather than just kind of being authoritarian or whatever his animal instinct was there that got triggered.
Our minds are like Velcro. They latch on to things and stay
Exactly.
stuck to them, and we react and react and react like we're stuck to Velcro. And meditation allows the Velcro to come apart and act rather than react, to be proactive rather
And
than
let our
constantly reactive.
Yeah, and let our deepest truths live through us. I think that the Tibetan Buddhists have really beautiful writings about the natural luminosity of mind and how consciousness and awareness is just a really pure, beautiful thing. But yeah, our minds get tangled up with all these, for me it's the internet. I like to surf the internet. With, some people it's alcohol, with it's approval, it's whatever it is that our mind grabs onto or pushes away, and it's a real challenge to stick with just that natural luminosity of awareness, of consciousness. I want to talk a little bit about work. And, in all monasteries, East and West, as most people are aware, there's chop wood, carry water, there's physical labor. When I've lived at the monastery, there's a lot of kitchen work, chopping things. There's, chopping firewood, there's raking, there's sweeping.
Picking weeds.
Picking weeds. I've done a lot of that in the monastery. And even in Christian monasteries, or from the Jewish or Islamic monasteries, there's always been this emphasis on physical labor, and part of it's like doing something you don't want to do, so as to face your own resistance to life and kind of being willing to open to disagreeable tasks. I think there's a lot of reasons for it. The work needs to be done too.
As a famous Zen Roshi said, who was quite exalted and elderly and had many disciples, all of whom were very devoted to him. And every day he got up and swept the entire monastery. And he was in his 90s, and his students said, "Please, Venerable, stop working so hard. We'll do it for you. You just sit on your little lotus pad and teach Dharma." And he said, "No work, no eat." Basically it comes down to that. We work because we have to work in this world to live, to eat, and survive.
And I think that, that story from the Golden Age of Zen, there was a big emphasis on work in Zen, which was kind of revolutionary for some of the other schools who just wanted to debate theory.
Or just sit and meditate on their little
I think
cushions.
Zen was meditating a whole lot more, and out of that meditation they realized the purifying aspect of work. And I think the positive of physical labor is that, in the Western tradition, prayer or formless prayer, whatever the monks were doing or are doing, I guess all over the world, and in Buddhism meditation and Hinduism meditation, it's a way of taking that practice and bring it into everyday awareness. It's very hard to be mindful while having an argument, or while having sex, or while doing air traffic controlling, or going live with a software release. There's complex activities that we do. It's really hard to kind of bring mindfulness. But just chopping a carrot or sweeping a floor, it's a way of bringing our spiritual practice into action. I think walking meditation is great for that too. It's a simple repetitive action. We can bring our mindfulness to it. And then, taking it from there to playing soccer, taking it from there to having a conversation. It's very hard to be open. If it was easy, people would do it just like that. So sometimes it's best to take baby steps and have training wheels. I think there's one more thing I want to say, and we talked a little bit about this in the pre-interview, and I know it's something that you feel strongly about. In the Eightfold Path, which is the central teaching of Buddhism, it's the path to walk on. The final two, or the first two, depending on how you configure it, are the deepest wisdom, right thought and right view. And people want to get to spiritual liberation and spiritual clarity, and that's kind of what people are excited about. And the intermediate step before that is meditation practice, right mindfulness, right concentration, right effort. And so people get excited about that too. Okay, I'll meditate and then I'll get spiritual clarity. But the Buddha was pretty clear that the foundation for all of it is ethics, right livelihood, right action, and right speech. And so I think, when we talk about practice in daily life, that's really important too. Taking a look at how do you make your money. I was at Long's today, and I was looking at all these little plastic bottles of shampoo, and they're all, those are going to go in landfill. So it's like thinking about our actions and the impact we have on the world. Right speech. When the ancient Buddhists didn't really have a word for meditation. They had a word for practice and cultivation. And for them, being an honest person, being a truthful person, being aware of what comes out of our mouth in terms of words, that had everything to do with our spiritual development as well as sitting. Right action. Sometimes with people that come to me for my meditation class, it's so clear that they got to look at how they use alcohol and drugs before they can really think about their sitting practice. So when we think about mindfulness in daily life, what are our addictions? What are our ethical behavior? In your most private moments, what do you could kind of tighten up on and be a better person about? I think that that's really important for our meditative practice. And one more thing I want to say is, several of my teachers talk about this. In the beginning, meditation is just something that someone does once a month, once a week, once a day. In the end, there's a way in which, an intense suffering of a divorce or a car accident or a fired from a job or a terminal illness can make us start to think of our whole life as a monastery. But it doesn't take that suffering. There's a point on the path where we start to think of meditation is great on the cushion, but bringing mindfulness, liberation, and openness to all of our life.
The three pillars of enlightenment, or liberation from all suffering, Shila in Samadhi, and Panya. Shila is ethics, without which you can't get Samadhi, which is concentration. If you're unethical, you can't concentrate your mind. And without concentration, you can never achieve the higher states of wisdom.
Exactly.
So the base is ethics.
Well put. Thank you very much for having me on.
And thank you for being here. And for anyone who'd like to learn to meditate, please contact Adam Coots at www.intromeditation.com. And we look forward to seeing you here again. And
love to be back.
Holding forth again. And it's such a joy that you're willing to share your experiences. And I hope everyone will contact Buddha by the Bay and or Adam, and press on, press on.
May all beings be happy.
May all beings be free of suffering.